Amazon has been doing in Poland, and how Amazon can help Polish small and medium enterprises to export globally. And so starting with the first one, like first and foremost, Amazon's mission is really to support local businesses worldwide by enabling sellers to reach global customers and compete with global companies. And even small and niche sellers can tap in our global customer base of around 300 million users, leveraging our logistic networks. An interesting data point is what we see is that sales from our selling partners, most of them small and medium enterprises, represent almost 60% of all the items sold on Amazon Marketplace globally. And in a letter to the shareholders of 2018, Jeff Bezos was showing how this percentage grew constantly from 3% in 1998 to 58% in 2018 to almost 60% now. And the reason for this success is that our marketplaces are really designed for the small businesses who can register and start selling their items on Amazon while we help them grow along the way. And really, if I think about it, the goal that we have is to simplify the seller experience and to remove all the complexity related to e-commerce that goes from listings and translation, VAT compliance and regulation, inventory, logistics, and customer service. And so selling on Amazon, I believe, represents an unmatched opportunity, especially for all the citizens who normally do not have access to all the global markets or the e-commerce technology. And it's really true that we believe we are successful as a company when our selling partners are successful. And one of the primary examples I want to quote, since I had the opportunity also working there for a couple of years, that Amazon is using to help selling partners is through the Fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA, because as a US company, we tend to like acronyms. So with FBA, selling partners can place their products in one of our fulfillment centers, and then Amazon can fulfill the orders quickly and efficiently across Europe and the world. So FBA is really an enabler for SMEs to scale the business with minimum risk and cost. Because in fact, Amazon, what it does is covers all the aspects of the logistics by storing and picking and packing and delivering the items to the customers and managing customer service and the return processes that we know can be pretty tedious. And if we focus now a little bit on the development of the e-commerce in Europe, of course, with the pandemic in the past 2 years, we saw that the growth of e-commerce has accelerated significantly, including Poland. According to a study conducted by Oliver Wyman in 8 European countries, we observed that the growth of online sales in 2019 and 2020 was 3 times higher than in 2018, 2019. And pandemic was really a stress test for the e-commerce market, and we often ask ourselves some tough questions like, will we be able to meet all of this demand? Will we break our supply chains? And I believe at Amazon we worked really hard and passed the test, mainly thanks to the technology solutions and the processes that we have perfected over the past years. And this has allowed us to show a wide range of people, including many new customers, the benefits of choosing e-commerce. And while we did that, we were helped by thousands of selling partners that continued delivering their goods during the months of lockdown, while we were making a lot of changes and adjustments to our fulfillment centers to ensure safety of our employees and deliver the essential goods to support the population. In parallel, during the pandemics, we continued investing billions of dollars in infrastructure and technical services to help small and medium businesses, including the launch of the three stores that I quoted, including Netherlands at the beginning of 2020, then Sweden, and then finally Poland in March this year. And if I can spend a few words now on Poland, we're very happy that we have launched a local store, because now it becomes easier for Polish businesses to sell their products on Amazon and reach more customers. But Amazon in reality has been investing heavily in Poland in the past years, and I want to quote a few figures that I think give an idea of that. So since 2018, Amazon has invested more than 12 billion zloty, including capital expenditures such as the infrastructure, including the fulfillment centers, corporate offices, and development centers, and operating expenditures such as the jobs that we created in Poland. In 2020 alone, we created 5,000 new jobs in Poland, bringing the total permanent workforce to 23,000. And this includes location across all the countries, from the company's head office to tech hubs and fulfillment centers. In addition, of course, our investment supports a lot of indirect jobs, and there is a research from Keystone that says that Amazon has indirectly created additional 28,000 jobs, both in the supply chain and across the network of sellers that work with us. So in total, Amazon has an employment of 51,000 people in Poland. When we look at the small and medium enterprises, in 2020 alone, Amazon had provided opportunity for 2,500 Polish small and medium enterprises who sell their products across all the Amazon stores, including the newly launched Polish store. 15 million of this company sold 15 million products last year. This is 10 million increase year on year. There are 500 Polish SMEs that we estimated that surpassed 100,000 euros in sales in Amazon alone, and 50 that passed the 1 million sales for the first time in 2020. And among these, we have Krosno Glass, Kadzar, Inglot, Tapiso, Tova, Rainbow Socks, and Cozy Dots. When we opened Seller Central early this year in January, we observed really a high potential from the Polish companies, and we've seen that hundreds and hundreds of new Polish SMEs have signed up since we announced that we were coming into Poland. And one program that I really want to quote is again Fulfilled by Amazon, because with Fulfillment by Amazon, I believe we have the perfect solution for our Polish selling partners to start selling on Amazon and expand in Europe and the rest of the world, because we have a presence of multiple fulfillment centers in Poland that really help and simplify the initiating this journey with e-commerce. In addition to supporting selling partners, Amazon drives multiple dedicated SME programs, including those with the public sector partners, and advocates for simplification of the trade blocking policies, such as the VAT and recycling legislation, which was the topic that was covered before. And before I close, I want to quote some of the findings from a recent report that we commissioned to ZPP, the Union of Entrepreneurs and Employers. And so, despite the dynamic development that we've seen on the e-commerce sector, we know that many Polish entrepreneurs reported feeling not fully prepared for such unprecedented change introduced by pandemic. And interestingly, the main concerns that they quoted are similar when entering the e-commerce and expanding internationally. And so these concerns are mainly related to, in some cases, lack of knowledge or limited resources, or the high cost of the marketplaces, legal and tax issues and regulations, and logistical barriers. And I acknowledge that these concerns are real, and so we're really working hard to address them. And so before I close, I just want to say that Amazon is really here to support Polish SMEs in going global by exporting in all the countries where we operate, and we really want to contribute to support the Polish economy in this post-COVID recovery. And having said that, I would like to thank you all, and I'm happy to give the floor to the panelists.
Dziękuję, Riccardo, za ten...
Thank you very much for this quick introduction. I would like to open our discussion with a broader perspective, and before we go to e-commerce and how much the market is changing in Poland, how much it is supporting ESPs in exports, I'd like to get a big picture for the professor, how the pandemic has actually changed the business models for ESPs in terms of uncertain times. How far the moment of crisis, of turbulence, and is the moment to change our strategies and start a new business phase without solid security behind it, being even unable to foresee the future for a couple of years ahead. Is it a good moment? Well, the pandemic's has changed nothing. Let me explain. It's changed nothing because it's not the pandemic, it's not the shock to change economy. It's the evolution or revolution, digitalization. Bezos established the Amazon in 1994. When the internet was still under development. Let's say that from that time, the fourth industrial revolution started, which means general digitalization, but it is a tool. But then we could see digitalization changes everything. some natural barriers disappear, like a barrier for a small company that it cannot enter distant markets because that would be too expensive to reach there. They would only operate locally. How much would it cost to get to another continent? Only huge corporations could allow it, and still not many. And it's not just a full list. I just want to mention a couple of items that change our life. So one was said. Two, you don't need a chain of intermediaries. You need the producer, the consumer, and a platform through which they can communicate. Then everything can work faster and more efficiently. Fourth, in the internet system, true blood starts to run. Of course, not meaning murder, but blood as a life-giving liquid. And this life-giving liquid is information. The consumers leave, ignore what is cautious, what is without being aware of it. It's controversial how to separate what shouldn't be used. They leave huge amounts of information to be used for, well, optimists will see to better satisfy the needs of the consumer or discover their needs before they have found them. The most primitive thing we are accustomed are the pop-up ads that speak about products we perhaps may want to buy. That's primitive indeed, but that's the point. So the possibility of enormous information flow between producers and the consumers, and many other things that cause revolution. The old business models that have worked so much for decades, all of a sudden they lose their sense. They cease to be competitive any longer. When people learned how to use the online store, they start thinking, why should I run around the city 30 stores when I can get all in front of me and find it? That fundamentally changes consumers' behavior, that changes operations of manufacturers, that changes transparency of the market, that changes the trade, that changes models of trade. Moreover, Amazon, I heard that name. It's an American small company. Well, Amazon is not a company for me. It's an icon of the change of the model, an icon of using technology to change the business model. Of course, there are more companies, but Amazon is one of the best known. And that makes that the entire global economy changes with its advantages and disadvantages, like information, access, what they know about us on the other side of the screen. Also, there are questions regarding jobs. It's not a surprise for me. We know that Amazon has trade union problems, but they think more of warehouses without people, just with robots who will work in an instant. But it needs technology. Well, we can discuss it or not, whether it's good or not, but this is the fundamental change of life. The change that affects both producers, consumers, and how we operate. And finally, the pandemics only accelerated that. Meaning that if a company so far has been saying, oh, we know we need to go digital, but we have 5 years, they had to do it in 5 weeks. All the statistics says it accelerated the process by several years, like creating the e-commerce market. one more thing to make it clear. I'm speaking about the simplest technologies that we know today, but somewhere else there are technologies still unknown that in 3-4 years would be available and that will make Amazon operating in a different world, in a different way. That's how it changes. If I could have a word and address Professor's word, I represent a company that started its operations in July 2019. So, pretty recently, yes, that's true. In March, COVID started. We are an online company, digitalized one, but the digitalization in July 2020 and March 2020 changed in a month. The pandemic was a great catalyst for the development of technologies, digitalizations, and changes in the companies. In a month's time, we doubled our turnover. We had to cope with the logistic behind it, its analysis, because couriers who collected parcels from us were able to weigh a 10-kilo parcel as 300-kilo parcel and charge extra fees. So wonders happened. Also, we had to switch to online work, the team, where so far we had thought meeting online. Well, you need to book the room, connect through the Teams, because we use the MS Office. And in April, we went fully online with our work. The team had to grow, to work independently, to draw conclusions not in a group, as we discussed that in the open space in the office, but to make decisions individually. Moreover, the company needed to continue to grow. The pandemic accelerated that, but for a company that is only making its first steps, first its own store, then enters marketplace, because you, as a retailer, you in Poland and abroad, you cannot work without a marketplace because they build the scale. There, the customer in 80% makes the choice when looking for a product. Of course, price is a factor, then the delivery, then other KPIs like the customer service or reliability of a company. So, yes, I would agree with the professor that the digitalization happened, and as we had planned to grow last year to the level we had into 3 years, we did it in half a year. And the enormous number of problems we faced and challenges luckily did not overgrow us, but that was a true challenge. And one more important issue I need to mention: without the understanding of your own business, good analytics, operating then and still being expanded, we wouldn't do it. Otherwise, we would pay for a 10-kilo parcel, like for 300-kilo parcel without verification. And such problems are reported by many companies. They say everybody accelerated, but then there is not enough space to process so many orders. Damian, you help companies to enter marketplaces or sell online. My question is, which industries are interested? Because we are talking about everybody selling online, changing their own business models, as if it was a piece of cake. But we know it is not. Some managed, some were late and now suffer consequences of perhaps not missing decisions, but late decisions. Daria says that from one month to the other one, they had to act quickly. It's difficult. Yes, indeed. We professionally provide services, sales service to Amazon. We have quite a group of statistic comparison. We now provide services to 250 companies in Poland in B2C and 50 in B2B on Amazon. Annually, we generate about 600 million zlotys of revenue, so it's not a small number. And having a vision of what happened during the pandemic, we are one of the beneficiaries. I say it openly because all the companies we cooperate with expanded rapidly. We saw certain feature of the Polish entrepreneur who is very flexible even in difficult conditions, because the free market economy, that was a revolution for us, but it taught the Polish businessmen that they need to adapt quickly to the conditions. As we had a Polish film businessman, it doesn't matter what you do, you need to do it fast. And that is what the Polish entrepreneurs follow, this gold piece of advice, because both the growing employment in such companies, but also flexibility they show, like Daria mentioned, this flexibility in terms of transferring meetings from offline to online. Some time ago it was beyond any understanding to arrange anything, because we know what the remote work looked like. Then it happened to be a must. However, 90% of companies we work with managed to come out with positive results. Well, broadly understood, digitalisation, and that if somebody is absent online, is absent at all. We see from various industries quite a remarkable movement in businesses typical for online sports, electronic, home and decor. That's standard, but we also have such surprising cases where the sellers come. Well, automotive parts are not exotic any longer, but we also have building products. We have a seller who sells car park roofs. So you can sell anything online. Yes and no. Life has taught me not to be radical in my opinions, because not everything verifies everywhere. But the Polish sellers always surprise me with their flexibility, entrepreneurship, that sort of... I smile when I say that, like Soviet war doctrine, reconnaissance by fight. They go like a hammer straight ahead, reaching their goal. And indeed, many of them, with their stubbornness and persistence, succeed. I must admit that in our field we meet various exotic industries. We have a seller's success who sells cherry stones. It's perfect insulator and filler for thermal insulation. It sells successfully, and it's very good for cherry vodka, obviously. The other product, that's the other product they make. That's the Polish entrepreneurship. We have a seller, Riccardo talked about during his speech. It's an Amazon success story. It's Kotarbau. They sell such exotic products as locks, bars, doorknobs, and they are the leading seller of that type of products on the Amazon. He also mentioned Tapiso, a partner of ours, a company near Kielce who sells carpets throughout Europe. So even that works very well online. And recently we also had bites for dogs made of deer horns. They're very popular. Our top sales recently, these were safety vests for dogs so that they do not drown. Well, that's holiday topic. Well, previous topic, and what the professor said, indeed, the pandemic changed nothing. It was a sort of another industrial revolution. It was simply more radical. It made the digitalization more radical. It had to be a message. Either you come in, eat or die, as you can say. It was like that.
Daria, let me return to you, because your company is a young one, and I believe that you do remember the experience associated with this e-commerce entry moment. So the question is, do you have to be omnipresent? Because we know that we want to sell something on the internet. We've got an idea or a product or even a company. So the decision is to set up your own company, to decide what brand to choose, which markers, where is the visibility point for you. Sometimes the decisions are made swiftly, fastly, and ad hoc, as Damian was saying. We want to be everywhere because this is our judgment to think that it increases our chances. Is it the right way to think? Well, the answer is it depends on what you sell. We are a reseller, so we sell somebody else's products, other companies' products. So we started with an online shop. You need to have an idea to start with. You know what you are trading with, what kind of margin you can work on, who might be the target, the basics for business setup. Scalability comes next. Our own shop, e-shop, was the basis, but marketplaces were the next to follow, because everybody's selling on marketplaces. This is the most popular channel that a retail client starts with whenever they have a purchase journey, a purchase adventure. Sometimes a client stays with a marketplace or returns to a shop, so you can generate income on this client flow. Business scalability to foreign market is the next step. And as Riccardo was saying, it's easiest to use the marketplace. And Amazon is the world's biggest marketplace ever. And it still is. So if you're a producer, I think that this is a different path that you need to choose. Setting up your own shop is not that necessary. You can start, conversely, with a marketplace. Poland's Allegro makes it possible to set up your own shop and run your business from there. So, it depends. A brief comment. Look and see. There is a cost decline for try and test whether it is selling in the markets or no. Otherwise, you would have to invest a lot to test how the car shelter roofs are selling. Yeah, it can be a sample, a test to see what is selling, what is expected by our foreign clients. Few people bought buoyancy vest for dogs, but Europe was more willing to opt for innovative products compared to Poles. So when you go foreign, when we went international, we've been there for a year. It's little, we're still learning. In the meantime, we have changed the partner, because when you start an adventure on Amazon, by no means is it easy, because the client is the master on Amazon, because the clients have great impact on rating of a seller, on how the seller is assessed. It's not easy to employ a few people in a call center who speak different languages. At today's market situation, we find it a mission impossible. Don't worry, AI is going to do that for you pretty soon, don't worry. Well, I hope it will be more exact than Google Translate. Yeah, I believe so, says Professor. So, starting sales in a foreign market with the use of a marketplace is not the thing you do on your own. You need to have a partner that supplies know-how on how to do the listings, how to attach products to these listings, how to work on sales on the marketplace. This advisor needs to give you support in the form of client services. So outsourcing makes it possible for me not to have my plate full playing with this because it's been delegated to a partner. How about costs? Damian, how to be the best seller in Amazon? How much does it cost? Costs in our company, well, sky is the limit, or your imagination is the limit. So let's return to these cherry pips or cherry stones. How much does it cost to sell them? Let me refer to the two things because they are kind of two-in-one problem. The pandemic has made it possible to promote a sales model D2C that has been covered up or concealed by B2C or C2C before. There are private labels that want to reach out the end client. The direct-to-customer brand have marked their place quite strong on Amazon. That was the pandemic time. You need to remember that you enter a service which is not a success guarantee. As Daria was mentioning, a niche product introduced on a pan-European scale, or global scale especially, results in this niche being no longer a niche, as Cyprian, the socket guy, who is a role model for us, for Amazon, says. This global niche does the rescaling, and the probability ratio boosts your sales. This has been confirmed on numerous occasions. However, there are business sectors that are occupied by Chinese, European sellers, home and decor, cuisine, kitchen, electronics, sports. You need to shell out some money, because if you do not put in, you cannot take it out. You need to promote your product, to put your best foot forward. The greater saturation of a category, the greater the cost to promote your product, the greater difficulty. Amazon gives the possibility to promote your product, pay advertisements. You can register your trademark, product cards and listings, remarketing inside Amazon network. But it's difficult to quote you a number, like 30,000 zlotys, and I'm in, because all the stories from rags to riches is a bull and cock story. There are exceptions to the rule, but exceptions are exceptions to the rule, but not the rule. Yeah, internet bookshop to Amazon owner, yeah, this is one of those rags to riches story, come on. Yes, this is the American dream, American success story, so this is the exception that confirms the rule, as I was saying. So the sellers that think that they may enter the marketplace and become successful without promotion, well, they can be compared to a product without an advertisement. Is like blinking at a girl in a dark room. We are the only one that we are trying to pick up a girl, nobody else. On the other hand, devote promotion. These products are like runner-ups on the list for the parliament, so they provide a background. They are taking part, but they never win. Come on. So, probability assessment. The greater density, the greater the costs related to the promotion. What is the most important factor when it comes to selling is a positive cash flow. So you can start with small quotas and you can be successful selling. What is more important is to retain the supply chain, so retail readiness to sell the product, to prepare it for Amazon or for your own seller, your own warehouse. This is the most important from the point of view of the engine, because the engine loves availability. If commodity is available today, 2 days' time, 2 weeks' time, this is more important than promotion itself, because if we don't have the continuity, we finish as it is in Opus band, Life is Life, one hit band, and no longer it exists, because there is no continuity, no visibility. Supply chain continuity. Polish European sellers have got great advantage over China because they produce locally and commodity availability is much greater, and they are certain that you are not going to pay through the nose for a container. And it's closer from Poland than from China. That's the risk. If you don't risk, you don't drink champagne. Client, consumer is my question related to. Amazon is the way of thinking. The book that has been recently published in Polish, Bazonomika is the Polish title, shows it. We are not Amazon freaks in Poland yet, maybe one day in the future. How do you take care of the future? My doubt is, what is client's experience in online world and in a shopping mall? We keep talking about a customer experience and about the fact that a client wants to lay their hands on it, feel it, smell it, touch it, be with the product, be the socks or cherry pips. Cherry pips is going to be the highlight of this session. It's not about the purchase itself and delivery, otherwise we will not return to the shop. But the client is picky today, sulky, they want more. Who wants to speak about it? This is the result of the pandemics. Look what happens in restaurants. The service people can fly around you to make you thrilled in this post-pandemic time when they understood what it means when there are no clients. But how can you do it online? Because you can be a great waitress, you can be fast, you can be lightning fast service person and wonderful cuisine on top of that. It seems relatively easy in real life. Customer experience in internet services is based upon products presentation and the broadest possible presentation, as it is the case of the slogan, one image tells 1,000 words. The image is most important here. Well, you cannot lay your hands on the product or smell it or lick it if you don't have it at hand. But speed, fastly delivery, fast return possibility result in the fact that there is a flashing light in the client's head. They can go to a shopping mall and return home, or they can get the shoes delivered to their home, try on, and says, no, it's not my size, and gives it back directly to the courier. This is really appealing. He says, let's not waste time going to a shopping mall. Traffic jams, lots of people, 10 people limitations, lots of other impediments and availability of the products, because not necessarily will you get this product in a shopping mall. I'm saying this is another brick in the wall. There is a number of factors that determine in a cumulative way the decision whether they go to a shopping mall or stay at home. They prefer to stay at home because there is greater availability. This is a food for thought, because you may return empty-handed from a shopping mall. Here, you can return it. So the global conclusion is possibility. Lots of possibilities from the client. Do they want to return it, give it if there are discounts, remarketing, and, well, if they think, well, it doesn't fit you, just have it. Clients sometimes get this market feedback, good memories, and they say, it's better to buy Nike on Amazon rather than go to a place where there is a sulky shop assistant not willing to work with us, there are no shoes, two left shoes or something. I'm ironic, kind of, you know, but when you have online, offline SWOT, clients are given plethora of possibilities. Their needs are being fulfilled, and pandemic on top of that, online wins. Yeah, you cannot say it differently. Well, I'm myself the one that loves going to a shopping mall. I like trying on. Professor, a few remarks. It was 1975. IBM boss said, I cannot imagine why would you need a personal computer in your own house. Our imagination is pretty limited, to put it in a nutshell. You need to think forward. It always boils down to the situation we have today. But in 5 years' time, the world might be utterly different. It's only the question of time. We are going to use future reality in online shopping. A consumer experience will be better compared to a regular consumer in shopping mall consumer experience with all these internet trade advantages. Nobody's going to tell you, we don't have the size, we need to bring it over from some other shop. Sometimes we buy virtual shoes, we don't have to buy them. Yeah, they can be a kind of up. Speaking about technologies, I don't know how much of a fantasy is this, or is it a fast track. We are going to print lots of things on 3D printers in our house. Everything's changing. Online trading will be more attractive. Will the niche pleasure of buying in a shop vanish? No. The rich people will savor it because offline shops will be more and more expensive compared to online. You know, there are banks in the world that don't have internet-connected accounts. And I'm not speaking about small countries that are not familiar with the internet, but this is Swiss private banking. They guarantee clients no internet access. We have 19th century methods.
mogą być i na pewno się zachowają. Natomiast
There might be niches like this, but I'm sure that in the online trading world, that will be the case.
Dlatego, że my cały czas używamy, zresztą tak samo zwróćcie Państwo uwagę, digitalizacja do spotkań, do konferencji.
In meetings, in conferences, we keep using the same tools, Zoom, Teams, that were created a number of years ago.
Jestem przekonany, że są prace nad
And I believe
znacznie
that there are tools that are better to be used. The same in online trade. You will be surprised to see the unveiling in 5 years' time.
Do końca naszej dyskusji i ja może bym oddała głos naszej publiczności. Jeśli
We've got
ktoś z
some
Państwa chciałby zadać
moments.
pytanie, czy my możemy prosić o mikrofon dla publiczności?
So can we have a mic circulating over the room so that we can...
To tutaj w pierwszym rzędzie pan się zgłasza, to jeśli byśmy mogli prosić.
There's a person sitting in the first row.
Dyskutujemy z naszymi słuchaczami.
So let's talk to our listeners.
Bardzo proszę.
Dzięki.
Thank you.
Jakub Jasiukiewicz, eksporter.
Sole proprietor, exporter who uses digital tools to export Polish culture. I did it 20 years ago. So what marketplace are you using? None. In my business sector, it is not needed because I'm not selling cheap Chinese things and I'm not using the tools that you are speaking about. We're speaking lots about the trading. SME perspective is not only the trade in unethically produced commodities. This is also to this Amazon gentleman, because it's nice, but we need to look at the social costs too. Yesterday's meeting. Can you ask a question, sir? Yeah, here comes the question. Referring to Amazon and sales tools.
Moje pytanie było, dotyczyło właśnie VR-u.
VR, virtual reality.
Dzisiaj posługujemy się
How
technologią.
we use the technology. I have a VR-focused
handlarze przespali, nie?
shop, research shop, and traders lost the track because they are 5 years behind culture creators, speaking about technology and experience expertise. Why is that so? You don't use VR in selling, but use in culture. I have experience. I've got lots of sellers that have got this experience. They sell volumes. So, for example, this metal routing, metal hooks and anchors that they sell. Świątniki górne near Krakow, where the metallurgy sector dates back for ages. The sales volume that they have, all kinds of virtual reality would be something that does not pay off. They have too many commodities, it is fast revolving, and he utilizes the tool that is called Orbit View. It might be obsolete for your business sector. White background, 360 degrees pictures. And this is as much as he can afford in order not to be overwhelmed with costs. We've got sellers who use augmented reality, but they do as much as they can do. This business sector is not developing a lot, but it is income-cost confrontation, and there are radical tendencies for Polish entrepreneurs to cut down costs, and this is a kind of dogma for them, because it's by no means easy to run a business in Poland. So they do realize that you do not have to boost the cost structured too much, so they do as much as they can. Virtual reality is being implemented in shoe shops. 3D foot measurement. You align the shoe to your foot. But one of the biggest players was able to do that. They invested in the technology. I don't know whether it's reverberated in reality, or is it a kind of tidbit? It's primitive. Well, I'm not a specialist in this business sector, but this is, you know, fun fair for the layman, like blink and watt meters. It's kind of exaggerated, and this augmented reality is not used. I've seen something very nice. I don't know whether this is primitive or not. I've seen an image that is overlapped the shoes you're wearing, so that you can see what kind of shoes you can wear. That's okay. Custom, the design, the custom-made, client-targeted product is most important. This is what we don't have in place. There are no tools. I might have people from Allegro listening to us. For creators, for producers who have short batches, single products, rather than large volume products, they create images or singular things that are designed for you as VR experience. Trade is not dealing with this. This is the future of the trade. People give up on long series. They prefer a customized product. So it has developed into a big discussion on VR. So counter-argument. Amazon offers a big amount of tools in Amazon Custom. Not necessarily are they sophisticated, but efficient enough to personalize products so that it makes it possible to expand product portfolio. We've got customer product sellers. Not necessarily are these high-end. This might be whiskey bottles for Mariusz's 40th birthday, but still it gives you a kind of flavor, but the biggest ones could afford it. We were supposed to enter a cooperation with a seller who was making custom-made sneakers. He created a panel for that, but the result boiled to nothing because market research was crappy. It was market confronted. Personalized sneakers market was not as big as he thought when investing into this tool. But Poland is not the market to start with, to have it so popular. Have you talked to teenagers recently? Any other questions from any other people in this room? There is a person. I'm sorry for being so brutal, but time's almost up, and I want to give floor to somebody else. I wanted to ask about possible monopolizing costs. Marketplaces, there are some of them, but Amazon is the main player in the market. It's entering Poland's market at the moment, and there is a battle against Allegro, and I believe that in many other countries it's similar. Amazon is playing in some other markets, so monopolizing costs. I'm speaking about the future. Because I know that this is not a comfortable question, but there was the social cost questions. But it's not only employees, but also consumers. We have companies
będzie nam dyktować warunki
that
jako
will
konsumentom również, tak?
set out the pace, dictate conditions for us, for the consumers.
On behalf of the Amazon, we should have Riccardo here. I'm not authorized, but I would like to oppose to this thesis. We are talking about monopolization in the context of Amazon. Well, the Polish monopolist on the Polish market has been Allegro, not Amazon. And remember that Allegro is not a local marketplace. They wanted to enter Czech, German markets. We have Alibaba behind the corner. Sorry to interrupt. My point is the monopolization of the global market, not locals. But Amazon has not monopolized the global market. And you can see that in the historic perspective, seeing the markets where it is present and what's its share, market share. I don't want to play with the statistics here. I have no authorization. I don't know if Riccardo can hear us.
I can, and I just want to say that for me there is not going to be one winner. I think the marketplace, as we said, is offering opportunities to several players, and Amazon really competes in a global market of online and offline shops. So I don't see this problem. I see that there are several players that are doing very well, and they will continue to do so, and customers have better opportunities at the end of the day.
Klienci mają więcej możliwości na koniec dnia.
Ktoś jeszcze z Państwa chciałby odnieść się do tego pytania?
Anybody? Well, it would be very difficult to keep monopolistic position. It would be a huge success, but you can only keep it if you are always the technological leader. This is the only way to keep your position, and I have no doubt that Amazon is doing all its best to stay the leader, but it's not going to be easy. I wouldn't be that much afraid of the monopolization issue here. Perhaps in the course of time. Well, I need to say that other services work very well on other marketplaces. Watching the structure of local marketplaces where Amazon is present, there are always big players. It's not that Amazon enters a green field and does whatever it wants. But the local e-commerce will not last. From the moment when Amazon entered, before we had eBay, there was another monopolist on that market, but finally it's a sort of oligopoly for the consumer. It's quite healthy because it drives price competition, it gets competitive customer service. It's also healthy for producers. I believe the Polish market will never be monopolized in marketplaces, and I'm happy that Amazon has entered that market, and it may be a counterweight to Allegro, where Allegro sets conditions for resellers in terms of cost and quality, and where competition is higher, when there is more companies competing to win the reseller and consumer, it's far healthier. All the best anyway. We wish all the entrepreneurs to use marketplaces reasonably. Same for entering online, followed by success. Care for the analytics. Remember, it's essential. When you watch the basic costs, the fixed costs, well, the basic economics, well, our time is over. Thank you very much, Riccardo. Thank you for being with us all the time. Professor Witold Orłowski, Daria Rudzka, Damian Wiszowaty, I'm Katarzyna Młynek, and thank you very much for your presence, listening to us, and those who are online with us. Thank you.
It's not always easy to recognize. It may look like this, or like this. It may be a burden, but it is a responsibility that we embrace nonetheless. But if it means this for one person and this for someone else, maybe it ultimately means being there for one another. It isn't handed to us, but we know where to find it and how it feels, how it tastes, and what it sounds like when we finally have it. It means different things to different people, but for many, it means everything. And if we all fight for it, it will eventually bring us together.
Now forming flight 1215. You may now kiss the bride.
Work is different now. We're commuting less, virtually meeting more. Separating work life and life can feel challenging. It's easy to forget that to thrive at work, we need to take care of ourselves. Microsoft Viva Insights offers new experiences to balance productivity and well-being. Personal insights help you stay at your best and most productive. Add structure to your remote workday by opting for a virtual commute, carving out time to have a productive start in the morning and mindfully disconnect in the evening. Protect time before your calendar fills up for focused work, coaching, and learning. Take regular mental breaks with Headspace, tapping into dedicated moments of mindfulness. Use emotional check-ins to tune into your day-to-day mindset and well-being. Strengthen team bonds with Stay Connected experiences that prompt you to praise collaborators, schedule one-on-ones, and follow up on pending commitments and outstanding tasks. Insights for managers and leaders offer windows into how work happens and the impact on employee well-being. Identify where teams may be isolated and take action to break down silos. Quickly discover opportunities to prevent burnout, promote coaching and development, and boost engagement. You and your team's well-being is important, especially in times of change. Taking care of one another allows you to thrive and your organization to build resilience. Experience how new well-being insights in Viva can help.
Liberté Talks to co ważne. Seria Liberté Talks realizowana jest dzięki wsparciu Google oraz Państwa darowiznom. Na podcast z Klimatem zaprasza Jakub Wiech.